Okay, so we're going to start off with running through everything we're going to need. So I'm going to be using the Stampin' Up! Sending Love DSP. I'll flick through that in a second. And you're also going to need some real red paper from Stampin' Up! As well. Now that's actually in the clearance sale, which I've stocked up on mine. I keep my paper in these 12 by 12 packets here, but you get 20 sheets, and it's a thin sort of paper, so it's absolutely perfect for making envelopes with. If you don't actually have any of this Valentine's paper and you're not going to get any, this would be perfect for making a Christmas version of this album. So I've really stocked up on those papers. Okay, so let's quickly flick through the pad. Now these are the same papers that I used for my Ferrero Rocher post box, and that's a very recent video, so you'll be able to find that quite easily. I'll quickly flick through there. There we go. Okay, so you're going to be needing 6 of these. These measure 5 by 5, and we're going to be making them into envelopes. So I've made 5 envelopes here, and I'll be walking you through how to make the envelope for that one. Okay, so we'll go on to our covers now. So we have our binding piece here and our 2 covers. Now I've got these written down. Don't worry about writing these down. I am going to talk you through the measurements, but they're all on my blog, and the link will be down below for that one. Okay, so the cover pieces measure 3 inches by 3.25, so they're slightly longer than they are short. And the binding piece, sorry, the spine piece is 3.25 in height and 1.25 across. Okay, so this will be our wrap. Now I've made these quite a few times now, so if you've seen some of my videos before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. So this piece measures 9 inches by 4.5. Now these ones, if you're wondering what these are going to be, they're going to be part of our flap system. So we're going to be scoring down the centre and folding them in half, and they will be part of the flap on our book. Okay, so you need 6 of those because we have 6 envelopes, and here is our binding system. So very, very cute little pieces that we've got. So yeah, I love miniature. I absolutely adore miniature stuff. Okay, so I'll give you the measurements for these. Now we're going to be using Stack the Deck. That's by Laura Dennison. And the binding is 3 inches in height, so all of these measure 3 inches. So I've cut these all from the same length of cardstock. This one measures 1.25, 1.75 and 2.25, and what we'll be doing is we'll be scoring ½ an inch on either side. So I'll be scoring them, turning them over, and then scoring them again. Okay, so let's get started on the envelope first. I'm going to be using the envelope punch board and our 5 by 5 piece of paper. Comes with the handy bone folder there. Okay, so I've gone for, let's lift this up so you can see, the 2.5 by 3.5, which means we have to score at 2 3/8. Now this is pretty handy if you're not too good on your 1/8 of an inch, because it tells you on each one, so you're not gonna make an easy mistake. So we need to go at 2 3/8. So you punch and score. That's it for lining up on the number. So we turn and we line up this line here, hopefully you can see that, and we line it up with this sticky out notch here. Punch and score down, line up again, punch, score down, and then last one. Okay, you have the option here, if you are actually making an envelope, to round your corners off just on here, but everything's going to be hidden, so I don't need to do that, but just so that you're aware that that's what you can do. Okay, so that's our envelope done. Just grabbing my bone fold. This is one of my favourites. So I've just turned my envelope over so I have the mountain side of the score line facing me, which means the valley's on the underside. I'm just trying to get everything as straight as possible. Okay, so what we do now is we fold those two in, and then we're going to use some Tombow. Just going to put a bit of glue on this side and that side. That's all we're going to need. I've avoided the top because this pokes out this side and we don't want to stick our envelope together completely. So we just press that down. Now this is a fast drying glue. Okay, so that's our envelope done. Okay, I'm just going to quickly grab my trimmer. Now what we're going to do, I'm not crazy, I'm going to trim off the bottom half of the envelope, about this much. There we go, just about that. And there we are, we now have a pocket. Right, no, not the pocket, this is the side of our pocket, and this is what's going to be sliding onto our binding system. Okay, just grabbing out the scoreboard now. And I'm grabbing all of these. This is our binding. Okay, so we're going to be scoring at 1/2 inch. There. Turn it over and score again at 1/2 inch. That will give us a 1/4 inch of a gusset. So the gusset will be this centerpiece here. This will be the piece that's going to be exposed, so when you turn your pages you'll see this centerpiece, and these two will be inside the envelopes and making part of our binding. So we're going to do the same on each one, just to make sure. I like to use the larger end, so we score again at 1/2 inch and again at 1/2 inch, so that's the larger. I'm doing these in a funny order. Okay, so now you can see that they're staggered. They're all staggered in size. Okay, so now we've got to do, grab your bone folder again. Very important with album making. Must have, well, it's not must have, but it's an ideal tool to be using. It will give you a better finish, better looking albums, and albums that will last longer as well, because your folds are all in the right place, and things are likely to stay where you want them to stay. Okay, so I'm just scoring all of these. Oops, I bent that the wrong way. Okay, don't worry about too much of the direction of these ones, because they're going to be flaps going left and right. So once I've stuck this all together, we'll then be exercising those. Yep, I did say that, exercising. Okay, so now we need to stick our binding together. I'm going to start with this one, the smallest one. Just going to get some glue, just like so. I might have just put a little bit too much on there. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up. So I'm going to try and get these two lines here in the centre of these two lines. Because I've used the wet glue, I can wiggle it around a little bit. So I can just see those two poking up. I'm going to push that up there and just line up this line up here with this bottom line just at the bottom there. There we go. Do the same for this one. Just so I can see it poking out there. There we go. Just give that a bit of time to set a little bit. Okay, we're going to leave the back blank till we're ready to stick it down. So now we need to exercise our hinges. By doing that, we just fold them left and right and then press them down. Okay, so now we have our hinges done. We can then use our tape. Now I have this tape here. It's not the Stampin' Up tape because I've run out of that, and I'll be getting a new delivery tomorrow. But this is 1/4 of an inch, I believe. Which no, it's 1/2 inch, so that may just about fit on there. We'll give it a go, see how it goes. So now what we're going to do is cover each side with this tape. I'm not too sure how well this stuff tears. It's not too bad. Now I'm not going straight up to the score line, I'm going very close to the score line but not completely up to it. I don't want any adhesive showing or being visible on the outside of the binding system. Now this tape is slightly too big, so it shouldn't make too much of a difference, I don't think. The Stampin' Up one should fit very well. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, this is the Stampin' Up one. See, it's a lot thinner, it's 1/4 of an inch. And this stuff will be absolutely perfect for fitting on here. So, yeah, I haven't got enough there to complete the album. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video now, and I'm going to do all of these flaps here, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I've done all that now, and now we just need to snip and taper the ends. Grab my snips. Now, last week I did actually get a question. I'll just quickly show you here where I'm snipping. Okay, so we've tapered them, so we're going to slot them into our envelopes perfectly. Okay, so yeah, last week I did have a question on my YouTube channel on why I tapered these after I put my tape on. Now my answer was, I mean, you can hunt it down, it was from the envelope album that I made. But basically my answer is, I like to have full coverage on the whole piece of the cardstock that I'm sticking down. If I was to taper these edges, it would be really difficult for me to line up the tape and get as much coverage as possible. Now, there is a little bit of a wastage, but in all honesty, I can live with that if that means my album's going to be well made. But it's absolutely up to you if you want to do it this way, or whether you want to add your tape after you've tapered the ends. Okay, so that's all the ends done. Tidy up as we go. Right, now we're moving on to the covers. I'm going to use the same tape again. Okay, so if you're wondering about this is thick cardstock. See if I still got that card. I think I put it away. Here it is. Here's a larger version. It's from a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, and it's the backing piece that you get with the DSP paper that you get from Stampin' Up. So they'll send the paper out and you'll have this backing piece to protect it. Now this is absolutely perfect for making your mini albums and books and things. Okay, so I'm just going to do this again. I'm going to use my finger now just to tear that. Okay, so you probably don't fancy me watching me do all these tapes, so I'll be back in 2 ticks. Okay, so I've covered everything up. You can see there I've got 3 strips in the centre. I'm going to grab my bone folder again. It's my best friend, this. I'm just going to press everything down. Okay, so now we have our piece of paper here. Just quickly lay everything down, making sure that we have the longer edge. It's very, very slight, but this side is longer. Making sure we've got everything the right way round. And sort of in the right place. Okay, and if you've seen my videos before, you'll know I like to leave a gap as well. So I'm going to put this piece down first. Just going to grab my ruler as well. Okay, I'm going to line this up with my grid. Pop my ruler down there. Try and get it all straight. Okay, so that's the first piece down. Hopefully my ruler won't move around her. Okay. Making up some new words here. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video again. I'm going to remove all the backing strips because that's going to be pretty boring to watch. And then I'll be right back. Okay, I've got everything off now. I'll use my ruler again. That's one for the bloopers. I'm going to leave a smaller gap than I normally do because this is a thinner paper. There's going to be less bulk. Looks like I've left about just under 1/8 of an inch. It's bigger than a 1/16 of an inch and it's just slightly smaller than 1/8 of an inch. That gap's a bit smaller, but that will do. Okay, remember to tidy up. Okay, now on with our tape again. I'm going to put tape all along this bit here in the centre. I'm going to put tape around here as well, and then all around here, and then I'll trim. So I'm just going to quickly show you where I mean. I'm going to pause the video again, and then I'll be right back. So we're going to go along this side here and along the bottom here. Okay, so I've covered everything up. I'll lift that up so you can have a look. I've done these sections here and just either side of this strip there. So now I've got my bone folder again. I'm just going to press everything down. This will really help the backing paper to come off really easily. Okay, so first of all I'm going to start off by taking off the backing paper from the centre. Might just use my paper piercer. The tear and tape is a lot easier to get off. Okay, so I've taken that off, and now I'm going to taper. Actually, I should have tapered first. So taper first and then take your backing papers off. So I'm going to leave a gap. I'm going to do a line across here, and I'm going to leave a gap. I'll show you in a second. Just like that, if you can see. There's a little gap just there. It's probably about 1/16 of an inch, or maybe just slightly above that. And that will give us a nice wrapped finish once we've finished. So we'll have nice looking corners. Making a big mess again. Okay, where's my paper piercer? You can take that off now. It'll be easier to lift actually now that we've tapered and created some points. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this up. I'm going to start with the centre and then press outwards. And then on the opposite side, do the same again. Just going to help it by pressing it up first. There we go. Oh, before we take that off, bone folder again. You've seen me do this many times before. I'm just going to press that down like that. So I'm just pressing that overlap down. There we go. I'll hold that up so you can kind of see I've squashed it. Okay, there we go. That's our outer cover done. Actually, there's one piece I haven't actually cut. I'll cut that while you're watching. I think I'm brave enough this time. Last time I did this, I cut it wrong twice. I'm just going to measure this. So 7 1/4 by 3 1/8. Let's see if I can remember that. I'm going to use the same red paper. I think this is long enough. Yep, so it was measure twice, cut once, 3 1/8. That's sticky. Yep, 3 1/8. I think it was 7 1/4. Yep, 7 1/4. Okay, I can stick that down. I'm going to stick with the tear and tape because this is quite a thinner paper now. You may just see beads of the glue on there. I'm going to stick with this Get that down. I'm only going to put it around the edges because there's sticky bits there, so we're good. Don't need that. Right, bone folder again. Burnish that down. There we go. Okay, just do your best to line this up. There we go. That's our inside cover done as well. Just press it down with your bone folder again. See, I've got the tape underneath the middle bit, so give that a good pressing there as well. Okay, so that's the covering done, and now we need to start bending it. So now, very gently just crease it up like so. Very, very gently press it with your bone folder as you lift it up, very slowly, just like so. So some of these papers here either side are starting to lift, so that's why we have the tape on either side of the spine there. Okay, so I'm only going up to 90 degrees, which, if you don't know what that is it's that angle here. I'm not pushing it further. Okay, so that's my limit on where I'm going to push. If I push further along, I may risk cracking it on this side here. So at this stage, I'm being very gentle. I mean, as the book gets worn in and gets used, it'll probably find it easier to bend how you need it to. Okay, so that's that done. I'm just bringing in our cover here. Okay, so this is going to sit here, just like so. Going to be using our Tombow again. Okay, so again, using the wet glue will give me wiggle room to get this in the right place. Okay, so that's down where I need it. Okay, so I haven't left any gusset room either side of here, so our flaps will be pointing inward, so our flaps will be on these two pages here. What I didn't want to do was make a book that that would have a huge spine and just a small area, surface area this side, and just be like really big and fat. So yeah, that's why I didn't do the gusset side on either side. So it'll all work out, don't worry. Okay, so now we have that down, we can now stick on our envelopes. We're going to start at the back. I'm going to remove the first one. I should have just make sure it's pressed down. And that should lift up quite nicely. Okay, so now what we do, I'm having the flap on the inside. So the same when I do this side, the flap's going to be on the inside. Hopefully you can see this. I'm just going to insert this onto there and line it up the best I can. And before I press down, I'm going to lay my envelope down flat and make sure that it's lined up properly. With this line of the cover here. Okay, so I'm just doing the last 3 now. So I've got all my envelopes with their flaps going this way. I haven't tucked them all in yet because they're helping me to keep it flat as I lie it all down. And so then I want all my envelopes on this side to be going this way. So they're all pointing inwards. Okay, so which means I'm still lining up my envelopes on this side. So I've taken off my backing paper here. I've got my envelope that way round. I'm just going to slot that in. Line it up with all the other envelopes. Okay, and then press down. I've got a bit of a gap there. I'm not going to worry about that. There we go. It's a little bit sticky, but I'll probably go over with my rubber and just go over that with my rubber just to get rid of any sticky bits. Okay, carry on. Okay, the envelopes are now upside down, or the other way round. Okay, so the last one. Okay, last one, and then we'll see how it goes. There we go. Let's get all our flaps in. Oops. There we go. Close our book. Okay, there we go. That's it so far. Okay, so let me quickly tidy up. Should have done this as I went. Brush it to the side. Okay. Now we're going to move on to our flaps. So these measure, I gave you the measurements before, but I'll give them again. They measure 5 by 3 and 1/16. Couldn't see where I put my scoreboard there. Okay, I found it. We're just going to score these in half because they're 5 inches. We're going to score them at 2.5 each one. Moving the album back in, I'm going to use the Tombow for this. Okay, fold them in half. Now I've got a little bit of an overlap here, but I'm not too worried about that. Just meant I may have gone slightly above or below the 5-inch mark when I cut my paper. Okay, so I've got them all here. Now I got this 3 1/16 of an inch because I measured my envelope. I measured it from here to here because I wanted the paper to perfectly match that size. Okay, so that turned out to be 3 1/16. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glue, I'm going to do it on both sides. I'm going to line it up here. I'm going to go up to the score line. Using the wet glue, I've got a bit of wiggle room. Try and get that on as straight as possible. You can use your tear and tape for this as well, and then press that down. There we go, and there we have a flap for our book. So the triangle from the flap is completely hidden, and now we have a nice page here that we can cover with pattern paper and put our photographs on there. And we'll also be making little inserts to go in here as well. We've only got up until we've lost some of the room in the envelope because of the binding, so we'll have to make something small to go into there. So I'm going to stick the rest of these on and I'll be right back. Just moving on to the last one, and after sticking all these on I found a little bit easier way to get it all to stick down. Okay, so you have your flap in your left hand and you just pop it on like that. And then you press down. Okay, so that's the basis of our book made. I'm going to stop this video right here, and tomorrow, if you'd like to join me, I'll be decorating the album and we'll be making inserts to go in here and covering with paper. And I will be using, obviously I showed you this before, the Sending Love paper pack, and I'll also be using the coordinating red and white ribbons because those are the two colours, Real Red and Whisper White. Using those ribbons, and I've also got these Sending Love embellishments as well. I've used quite a few of these already, so I'll be using those on the album as well somewhere or other. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today. Please do join me for part 2 tomorrow, and I'll see you then.